Okay, now let's come to another issue. I hope that's in the book because I've not read the book, and I hope our viewers will be able to get that book.
I know you read some of it.
Just a part of it, just a portion. I read the blurb, really. But now let's look at the secrecy about sexual relationship or sexual health or lack of it. Why that secrecy? What is it? Something? Is it part of our gene? Is it part of the human nature? Is it something that we borrow from other culture? I mean, how is it that suddenly everything that has to do with sex is cloudy? It's shrouded in secrecy. Nobody wants to talk about it until it hits you on the face.
I don't think it's now that it's shrouded in secrecy. It's always been like that. It's always been like that. But now I think we're moving
away from
that. Unfortunately, and that's another thing that informed my writing this book. Unfortunately, I don't know if you have noticed, every time you open the pages of the newspapers, it's always how to have better sex, how to have orgasm, how to use sex toys, how to please your man, how to... That's everything that's being said about sex. Nobody is talking about the dangers. Nobody is talking about the responsibilities attached to it. These things are there, but everybody is,
keeping
quiet and
promoting the enjoyment.
We're rather interested in the enjoyment, and then you find friends who have never had orgasm come to you and ask you, "I've been reading about this orgasm thing. Have you experienced that thing before?" "I have not." Tell me how it feels. Maybe I have done it before and I can't remember. Yes. And that's what people are interested in. They're not interested in the
other side of
the coin. And that's the more important part of it. Because if we neglect that and just face the enjoyment part, if I don't have orgasm with you, I'll look for someone else that would give me what I want.
That's planted in your brain.
That's what I'm looking for. So we need to talk more about the responsibilities attached to
sexual activities. Okay, now how do we get this on the street? Because again, I think on the scale of balance, a lot of people would rather not want to read about these responsibilities, these question marks. So how do you get to popularize this? How do you get people to begin, especially young people, to buy into it? Because young persons are just like, no, look, this woman has had a time. She doesn't want to now start telling me stories. So how do we begin to change that mindset?
It's something that we have to start with children from a very young, very tender age. There's no particular age that you would start to tell your child that
these are the negatives.
A friend of mine once sent a 10-year-old boy to boarding school and never spoke to the child about homosexuality.
Oh, we have a lot of that. No, you can talk about it, but you have a lot of it.
And then the 3-4 weeks later, she went for visiting day, and she was shocked that her child was telling her that some guys were caught from one student, JSS, one students were caught having sexual activities with some other guys, So, and she found that very, very weird. So I was, I said, how would you told your child about this? He said, no. She's like, at 10 years, how can you be talking to a child about homosexuality at 10 years? I said, and you sent the boy off to a boarding
school. It's a single-sex school.
Without telling these things, we need to start at a very early age to tell the children that, unfortunately, we do not have programs in our schools.
I was just going to come to that. That again, the challenge would have been that the first point of learning for most children
is from the home.
Yes, from home. But by the time they get to school, they see a different picture entirely. Yeah. And if you don't have a collaborative effort at school level, the child is not too sure exactly which one to take. So how do we now get educational facilities to begin to see things like this that you're talking about?
It starts from the home. The teaching, as I said, starts from the home. But the government has very, very great, bigger responsibility towards the children, towards the young people. Unfortunately, when you the problem is it's like an octopus, in
touches everything,
and we need to harness this, what we're teaching people, what we're the information we're passing out, the efforts we're making at getting the right information to the children. Where I always talk about the economy in Nigeria is a big problem, and it's a big challenge to young people, to older people too. If economy, as a poor economy, has been identified as one of the most challenging how do I put it now?
No,
to sexual health, yes, okay. To sexual health, in relation to sexual health, in relation to people making choices.
The right choices.
Yes. When you are faced with a poor economic situation, you are not in your right frame of mind to make the right choices concerning your sexuality, your sexual health.
So what you're saying now is that poverty is
a big challenge in our society. And second to that is corruption. When a child, let's say a university girl, and it's also happening in secondary schools now, children, students exchanging sex for marks. So it's a big challenge. People who are hungry will need to eat, and then you would force young people to make the wrong choice when they do not have that economic power. Apart from when their parents cannot feed them properly, then the parents too. I have seen cases where parents expose their children.
They trade them in.
Yes, for sexual favors, just so that they can make ends meet.
Yes.
Some of them do it also just to feel among that category of young people who go into prostitution or the business of aristo or sugar daddy. And the boys are not left out now. They do sugar mommy too.
Really?
Yes, and it's a big, big business.
In this our environment?
In this our environment. It's just, like you said, everything is shrouded in secrecy and we don't want to talk about it. We're not acknowledging the problems. But it's a big, big problem. I have a column on Sundays where we call it Love Zone.
Okay.
It's a platform where people meet. If you see the statistics of the people looking for sugar, sex for money, sex for favor, it's like almost like let's say 80%
of those participating
yes,
in the forum
are looking for older partners who can take care of them in exchange for sex.
And this is all because of the economic situations that they found themselves.
And the guys now feel that, well, since girls are doing it and they are getting away with it and nobody is
frowning
of course, why not? I have something I can trade off too. And I know people, if I can meet people who need my services, why not?
Now, so where is the family in all this? Because whilst we were talking now, you made reference to the time we grew up, the 70s, 80s, and all that, and how parents just tell you, don't do it, and then you seem to well, accept to live within the strictures. You know?
Yes,
but now,
it was easier for us not to. When your parent tells you don't do it, we didn't have access to the internet.
Yes, no iPad, no iPod, no Google, no BlackBerry, no.
We could not source for this information. We were restricted to the books that they would buy for
or
you,
the magazines,
or the
that
magazines
you go and hide under the bed.
And under the staircase. I remember I used to steal my older cousins' magazines and stuff, and then we'll crowd round and then we'll look at these things and sneak it back, you know. So we didn't have, you were not bold enough to just, and just go and access this thing and be watching pornography, watching this, watching that. It wasn't like that. The challenges we faced is minimal when you compare it to what these children are now faced with. Everywhere you turn is sex.
Yes, so I don't want to be discouraged. So I don't think the book is for us to be discouraged. Mm-hmm. So therefore, when you are telling us the other sides of how to enjoy sex and all that, so what are the prices? What will be the costs, or what is the value, the added value to enjoying sex? Because you talked about that in the book as well. So those should be the responsibilities that you're going to be faced with.
One is fidelity. You see, God already outlined these things. It's just that we human beings, we're always lying to look for loopholes. Let's see how we can do it this way so that we can get another result. Yes, and then it's already stated. A man and a woman who are faithful to each other. Not that the woman should be faithful to the man, or the man should be faithful to the woman.
Both of them.
Both of them have to be faithful to each other. Now, when you now take it maybe to the moral level or to the religious level, we say married. You put that word, married, there. Okay. But we also know that the challenges of the 21st century, the millennium, are huge.
You know, for the us, we have two women to a man.
Well, I was reading somewhere that is 7 women, seven women to a man.
So how do you get these 6 women to get married?
Yes. You know, so it's a big challenge, and not even only the 6 women to be married. The challenge is facing marriage itself is awesome. Yes, it's you discover that marriages are no longer what they used to be. Before you know it, a man or a woman is married 2-3 times before he gets to 50. And it's because of the challenges of our environment, of the society that we now find ourselves. We find out that also people now get married at later ages. People don't get married
early anymore
because of certain things, especially the economy as well.